Instead, he says, don't waste your time praying to me. Show your gratitude to me by helping someone who is in need.
The he you refer to is Sri Sathya Sai Baba. In the last decade that he himself says his physical form will be with us, what do you expect he's going to emphasize the most?
He would like to see all of us become far less selfish, far more absorbed with spreading the message of love and compassion. As he says, make your life my message. If you and I do that, I'm sure he would very much like to see that. The problems of the world are created from the mind, the restless mind, the greedy mind, the mind that is full of ambition and desires. The problems created by the mind cannot be solved by the mind. With all your committees, with all your million-dollar conferences, they can be solved only by the heart. That heart is what you saw in St. Francis. That heart is what you saw in, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and people like that. In times of war, people yearn for peace. That happens only in societies where there's a lot of conflict. In times of distress, people yearn for good times to come. But those are local yearnings. We must have a global yearning for goodness, for honesty, for compassion. That's still not there. Yes.
I've known you for 10 years. You have your pulse on society as well as anybody I know.
No. I'm not
bashful about this.
I sit here. I don't travel anywhere.
But you have your sources. Are you optimistic?
Let me say, if I don't have optimism, I won't be doing what I am doing.
And the last question, the hardest maybe you'll ever be asked. When is the full love and awareness of the total virtue of Sai Baba going to permeate this earth?
You should ask him, not me.
You're close to him daily. You have a thought about this.
Physical closeness is not closeness in heart to heart. This is a question involving the heart.
He is the former Vice Chancellor for the Sri Sathya Sai University in Puttaparthi, India, an individual in daily contact with Holy Man Sai Baba. Dr. G. Venkataraman, atomic physicist, pioneer of Radio Sai Global Harmony, heart-to-heart publications, and a prolific author. Welcome to Souljourns. This interview was recorded in Prasanti, Nilayam in January 2010.
Dr. G. Venkataraman, thank you very much for this opportunity once again to really switch tables a little bit and have a chance to talk to the interviewer, the person who wrote the book on communicating human values. I want to ask you, with the world in such an awful mess, now granted it's almost always in an awful mess, but this time around it's more awful than normal. How can human values realistically mitigate the trouble the people of the world are facing today?
Okay, you want to open with a bouncer, as we say in cricket. But before I answer you coherently, I must know your definition of human values.
Well, there would be Sai Baba's human values.
You're a smart lawyer. Well, if by that you mean Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa, or in translation, truth, righteousness, Satya, Dharma, Shanti, peace, Prema, love, Ahimsa, non-violence, then I would say that if you start, for example, with Ahimsa, which is violence, not only violence in terms of use of arms, but violence in terms of use of words and so on, well, we will have a sea change. Half the media would have to shut up, and that would be a great blessing. Half the newspapers would have to go black, which would be a great blessing. Maybe they could fill it up with a lot of good news, which is there.
But you want people to have their freedoms, don't you, including freedom of speech?
No, this freedom of speech is a myth. What is marketed, promoted, advocated, and all that in the name of freedom is really slavery to the senses. You're not free. You're being controlled by the 6 agents who are enemies of human values. The six, I mean, this won't be accepted in today's world, but that is a fact. Philosophers have declared this and accepted this, and religious, spiritual scholars have also accepted this. The enemies in our tradition are Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. There are two more, Ahamkara and Mamakara. I will explain what they are. Sai Baba refers to them very often. Kama means desire. Desire is the broad spectrum, from the desire which are sensual to desire for power, authority, and wealth, and so on. Krodha, very deadly anger. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, greed. Miserliness. Moha, attachment. Mada, pride. Matsarya, envy. And Ahamkara is ego, Mamakara is possessiveness. And these are internal. This is the bad wolf in us. And they are, I heard an imam say in one of the BBC programs, the real infidels. And jihad is a fight against these.
Against our desires, our human
desires. The negative forces in us. And apparently the stoning of the Satan, which is a ritual that is performed immediately after completing Hajj, is really an attempt to kill the devil in you. Get thee behind me, Satan. Doesn't the Bible say that?
Yeah, it does.
So see, if these things are suppressed, you become a decent human being. Just today I heard on one of the old discourses of Baba, we have a discourse channel, 24 hours. And he says, humanness is the bridge between animality and divinity. And if you look at the problems, whether it's corporate crime or swindling in the marketplace by whatever name it is, or peddling arms when it is really not necessary, and all sorts of things, $1 trillion pleasure industry, sin industry, if I may call it, all these things are destabilizing.
But aren't you talking about a global retraining of attitude towards what's good desire and what's harmful desire? Wouldn't that take 1,000 years?
Well, it all depends. If a ship is sinking, you say, let's take 1,000 years before we save the ship. You can take that attitude and you know what will happen.
This ship will sink.
I would say that if you look at the situation today objectively, in my opinion, humanity has never been in this kind of a crisis. Never before has the planet held 6.3 or 6.5 billions.
But there have always been crises.
Wait a minute. It's a combination of factors. Never before have they been so heavily interconnected. Never before has there been such a big demand for food, water, land. And never before has the atmosphere been as polluted as now, with all sorts of things, not just carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, this, that, so many things. And water, it's actually becoming scarce. People don't realize that the amount of fresh water available for consumption is fixed. It's just recycled. And if more and more people are going to demand their share of water from the same fixed amount, your per capita availability comes down. Simultaneously, the land available for cultivation is coming down because a lot of land is being made unusable. Lot of land is being taken over by urbanization and so on. So